Hi everyone, Michael from Oxford Mobility Product Specialist for this company. We're going to do a series of videos covering the conversion only of these fantastic vehicles that are produced by BraunAbility. We're going to start with this one with the Toyota Sienna, which is a hybrid, so it has a engine and electricity that runs the vehicle. So we're just going to go over the conversion today so everybody has a good idea of how to work your conversion. I encourage everyone that owns one of these vehicles to go through thoroughly the owner's manual for the Toyota itself, because there's lots to learn about that. So we're just going to go over the conversion today. I'm going to start on the other side of the vehicle and we'll work our way around and show you the tie-down systems, and hopefully at the end you'll have a good idea how to use your vehicle right from day one. We're going to start on the right side of the Toyota today because it's a very important switch that we need to look at, and it's one of the components that if it's not in the right position, nothing's going to happen. So this is the door switch. It operates the two sliders and the hatch at the back, and here's where the switch is. It's right there, and you see the red that's above that. If that's showing, it's on. If it looks like that, it's off, and all the doors will not function, including the conversion. So it's very important that we start knowing that that switch is in that position. This switch has been known to be hit by your knee. So if you're a tall person getting in here, and I've done it, I've actually pushed that switch in and then nothing works, and you might call your dealer to find out what's going on, but it's simply a switch. Moving around to the back of the Toyota now, there's something back here that we need to know. So this platform here, this is where the battery and components are. It's the hybrid batteries here. You do not need to open this access door for anything. It's for a technician only. But one thing you must know, and it's in the Braun manual, is back in here, there's actually motors and vents. Okay, you can't see them, but they're back in here. They're just laying flat up against this area. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. And what they do is they cool the hybrid battery. So if you know in time, once you've owned the vehicle for a while and people have busy schedules, they have a tendency to throw a lot of stuff in here. Grocery bags, walkers, anything you can think of ends up back here. So we want to keep this area absolutely free so that you've got an airflow coming up here to cool that hybrid battery, okay? So now we're around the business side of the Toyota now. So this is the conversion side. The entrance to the conversion is done by many facilities within the vehicle. The best one and the most used would be the key fob. So the key fob is the actual factory Toyota key fob that comes with the car. And whenever you operate the right door, because that's the door that the conversions is on, that's the door that will, when you activate that switch, it will activate the door, the ramp, and the kneeling system. So we'll just do that now, and it's a hold, so it's a push and hold. And we'll walk on the one side of it here. So notice the door opens, the ramp will come down, and you also notice the rear of the vehicle, the kneeling system, called the kneeling system, is lowering the angle of the ramp. All right, now that can be switched on and off too as well, and I'll show you how you can do that. So that difference between the kneeling system on and off is about 3 or 4 degrees, which makes a huge difference when you're pushing a manual chair up this ramp and you've got a bad back, or you've got some ailment that's it's tough for you to do. Power chair is no problem, but a manual chair up here, that's why they incorporate the kneeling system, so it makes it easier to operate it. The ramp is rated at 1,500 pounds. We've got a very strong ramp. It's powder coated with an anti-skid surface. So even in the wet weather, it's very, very hard to slide on it. You still have to be careful. They cut slots in the ramp here so that any snow and debris, a lot of it will come off first and end up out here and not inside the conversion. All right, so our cameraman Kelsey's going to follow us inside here, and we'll show you the other functions that we can operate the ramp. So again, we've got factory switches, which are the same that operate the door. So Toyota has their switches up here. You have down here, you have a Braun switch. So that's for conversion. That's the one you'll use to open the door when you're inside getting out. And then we go back over to the side. We've got a factory switch here from Toyota. And on the opposite side, we've got a Braun switch. The Braun switches always indicate the little vehicle with the door open. Now, that all been said, Braun would like you to use the Braun switches whenever possible. So whenever you can, use the Braun switches to activate the conversion. This is an acceptable way of getting into it because you're typically going to use this to get into the vehicle. But when you're inside coming out, try and activate all the Braun switches first before you activate these. So when we come inside, we've got a, I don't know if you can catch that or not, Kelsey, there's a footrest here for the shorter people to put your feet on. I'm very tall, so this, I wouldn't use this. I would typically just put my feet on the bottom. So there's a footrest there. This is where the batteries are underneath here. So this seat's a little bit higher. So when you're looking at this van to purchase it, if you've got a lot of tall people, I'm 6'3", and you can see that my head is just about touching the ceiling right now because of my height. So the seat has been raised from the factory position slightly because that's where they put the battery. Okay, so the front seats are removable on the Toyota Sienna. The left side can come out and the right side can come out. This is important if you want someone that wants to ride up front, and you put the tie-down system up there, but they want to ride up front. They're not comfortable in the mid position, or you've got maybe 2 wheelchairs you want to put in. So I'm going to show you how to take this seat out. The first thing we're going to do is make sure the seat's all the way forward. So we push the seat all the way forward, make sure the backrest is all the way up to the front. So we're going to clear this. The reason why we do that is because the seat weighs, maybe 75 pounds. We want to make sure all the weight's forward so it doesn't fall over backwards on you. So if we come down here, Kelsey can get a shot of these switches. So we're going to, this is the power switch for the seat. We're going to take that out, and there's also one here for the ABS system. So this little guy's got to come apart too as well. So we pull this one apart. Now we're free, okay? And there's a little loader up here, a little, just a mechanism that we can just, kind of a dead spot, not active, just to hold that wiring system up here. Now, this is really important, this area. So when these wires are connected, you got to be careful that when the wheelchair comes in, he doesn't grab them. You don't run over top of them because you'll break them. This one here is really important. That's the airbag supplement. So this runs the airbag systems. And then the big wiring harness here will run all the power systems, the heated seats, and the tilt and what have you in the seat itself. So it's really important once the seat goes back in after you take it out that you reconnect these, because you won't have the power to seat, but more importantly, you won't have the airbag system here that's going to function on its different stages. So you have a 3-stage airbag system in most cars today. This one is running in the seat sensor, so it knows the weight of the person and how to deploy the airbag in the case of an accident. So that's the wiring harness that has to come out. If you look here, you'll see a left and a right pedal. This pedal we're going to use to raise the seat out of the dog bones and put it on its wheels. And this one is going to put it back down again and lock it in. So the technique for doing this, you would probably have to practice a little bit. It's not a first-time thing. But here we go, left foot on the pedal. I have my hands on the back of the seat up here like this, and my position is kind of crouched for power. I'm going to push down on my left foot. I'm going to push up on my hands like this. All right? So now the seat is up on its wheels, and you can roll the seat out and put it in the garage. When you go back in again, you've got to line the seat back up with the flooring and drop it back down. So we'll do that. We'll pull it out here just to show you how easy that is. We can roll it out. It's on wheels, and put it in the garage. And you can see that's why we put the seat forward. So now it's balanced. If the seat was back here, it could very possibly just roll over backwards. Then you'd have to pick it back up again, and you can't power it once it's out. It's disconnected. So if we go inside, this is what we're left with. You'll see the flooring where the dog bones are. This is so you understand what you're doing. You're actually taking the seat when you put it back in, and you're coupling it back to the floor again. So they'll come down here and they'll snap into these floor joists, and these are to hold the seat in. You'll also see the tracking up here where you can put your retractors to tie a chair down. Okay, so you'll put these into the flooring. You'll have 4 of these, one here, and 2 back here. Will be in here. And I'll describe these a little better to you and further on. So you can actually secure a wheelchair up there. The tie-down system will be 4 of these. which most of these vans come with. Some of them don't, some of them do. If not, you can always purchase them. But the seatbelt system is a little bit different. So now your seatbelt's gone. You may ask, well, how do I put the seatbelt on? This is constructed by Q-string. So this is actually the Toyota receiver restitched onto a webbing, and this is all pull tested. This is CMVSS, so it's Canadian Motor Vehicle Safety Standards, and it's also NHTSA through the United States. So this has been pull tested. Once the wheelchair is up here, you would simply take, if I'm the guy in the wheelchair, you would just take the factory seatbelt and snap it onto the receiver here, and it would be self-tightening just like it would if you were just sitting in the seat normally. So that's how the front would work, and that's the receiver. This receiver works in the rear position too as well, or the mid position. So this can be used at the front or the rear. All right. So we'll talk a little bit about the tie-down system. Tie-downs for these. This unit here is a retractor. It's made by Q-string out of Florida. It's one of the standards across the world. You'll see cabs using them everywhere. You'll see them pretty much on paratransit. And they're a self-tensioning. In other words, what happens is this goes into the floor and this hooks onto the chair. And once it self-tensions. Okay, so you got 4 of these on a position like this. And the way you release it is you push that red button down, and that'll release it from the floor. So if you look at it, this is called L tracking. These pivot. So these mechanisms fit in anywhere on the tracking, either in the back, the middle. This is for the front position. And all they do is, if you can get that on there, Kelsey, is you line it up and you push down and then slide it and pop. See that? And there's a red line right there. Then when it's straight across, then that means it's locked. And you want to make sure that it's in the floor. If you put this in and this is up here, and you tie and you put the person in the wheelchair in there, and this one comes out in an accident, it can be deadly. So you want to make sure that these are properly installed. And you take them out very simply. You just pull the lock up and slide it back out. So tie-down systems consist of 4 of these, forward-facing only. No wheelchair goes into these things sideways. Never, ever put a wheelchair in sideways. So they're all forward-facing, 4 retractors, and you're going to have 2 at the back, 2 at the front, and they're going to form this kind of a thing. So you've got the webbings like this and the chairs in the middle, so it can't move. And then you'd use the tie. This goes into this tracking the same way, but this can be put on either side, the receiver. So if they want the belt over this side or on that side, it goes into the track the same way. It's a little black button. It's a little bit different, but the same base on it. And to pull it out, you just pick it up and slide it. It's a little trickier than the other one, and it comes out. Okay, so putting the seat back in again, it's a little trickier than taking it out, but you'll look down at the floor. If you understand what you're doing, you'll see these runner tracks here that are in front and behind of the dog bone. And on the chair itself, there's little guide wheels. So you want to line these up with these guide wheels. It's really kind of tricky. You can't see where you're going. But once you get the feel of it, you put these guide wheels into this tracking. Let's see if I can do it first time. There we are. So you can just feel that little 4 or 5 inch roll. And once you have that, you know that you're lined up. We're going to go all the way forward as far as you can. And then that right pedal that I talked about, right? We're going to push that down and lock it in. Now, once that's happened, you also want to make sure that it's in. So give it a good shove. Because if you don't, and it's not fitted properly to the floor, and someone's sitting in there and you have an accident, again, here we go. The whole dog bone, the whole seat could come out of its tracking. So you want to make sure that it's in the floor. And then we come back, and don't forget to reattach the main power. That's for all your seat sensor, or for all your power equipment, the tilt and the recline, and then your airbag supplement. So that's airbag and main power. Make sure those are in before anybody sits in the seat, okay? So there's one, I missed a switch here I want to talk about. So we talked about deploying the ramp, the kneeling system, and the switches to use. Up here, I don't know if you can catch this, Kelsey, there's a switch that Braun installs. and it turns off either everything or turns on everything, or you can turn the kneel off or turn the whole system off. So you want to make sure that this is usually in the middle position, which allows the ramp to come out and allows the kneeling system to work. So if you happen to flip that all the way down, nothing's going to work again. You'll hit the button and nothing's going to happen. So I just kind of missed that. I want to make sure that you see that. So we talked about taking the chairs out. This seat comes out the same way that the passenger seat does. Essentially what this would be for is a driver. So somebody could totally drive this vehicle in a wheelchair with the correct hand controls and prescriptions and testing in that. But this is, it could be totally self-sufficient. You can drive a wheelchair in here, lock it to the floor, push the buttons, open the ramp, close the ramp, and drive with hand control. So that seat does come out. Doesn't come out in all models. The Toyota does, but in some models of the Chrysler and other lines, so some of these don't come out. So that's covering the seating, the tie-down systems. One thing I would like to talk about very briefly is wheelchairs. So when you're talking about wheelchairs, is a good website to look at. It's Q-Strength, so the manufacturers of the tie-downs. It's qstrength.com, so www.qstrength.com. And in there, there's actually a site that you can visit that shows wheelchair crash testing. You may think, never heard of that before. So be very aware of, and you have to work with your therapist, work with the person in the wheelchair and the wheelchair provider, the technicians. But if you're getting, for the first time into a wheelchair, be sure that the technicians and the wheelchair builders know that it's going to be transported in a van. Because there's a huge difference between wheelchairs that are just moved around for transit chairs, hospital chairs, folding chairs that should never be put into here with a person in them. So it's wheelchair crash testing. It's on the Q-Strength website. Make sure that the chair you're putting in here is certified to be tied down in a vehicle. A lot of them aren't. For example, folding chairs should never go in here. And that's not to say there's a law against anything like that, but people are, if they're not aware of it and something does happen, then somebody should have told you. So it's a good thing to look at all the legalities of wheelchairs. What chairs are compliant? They usually have hooks on them where you can see where you put the hooks through. They usually have the hooks on there. That's a good sign. But a transit chair from a hospital or a folding chair, they'll just collapse in an accident. So that's not something that you want to do. There's a couple other switches I'll just show you here, then we can probably wrap this up. Kelsey, if you want to pop in here for a sec. There's a couple of switches down here. You might wonder what these are. And these are override switches for when the computer fails. So if you still got power or hydro to the van, all the doors work, the wipers work and everything, but the conversion doesn't. It's very rare, but the chances are, if that's the issue, these switches will manually override the kneel and the ramp. So you can pull the ramp up. You can actually raise the ramp up. You can raise the kneel up, or raise the kneel and the ramping up, so that you can drive it again. If it is down, kneel's down, and the ramp is out, you don't want to drive the vehicle with the kneeling system on its ground or on its crushed position. You want to make sure you bring the kneel back up again. So those are typically what will get you started in the vehicle as far as the conversion goes. If you do have any questions regarding wheelchairs, regarding the conversion itself, always give us a call, either Paul Milligan, who's the sales manager here. I'm their product specialist, if you get a hold of me too as well, or Steve Kerr, who's our technician. So any technical questions, Steve Kerr can look after you too as well. We'll be all done with the Toyota, and stay tuned because we'll do other videos too as well. We'll do all the lines. The new Chevy Traverses out here now, so we've got those in stock, so I'll be doing those as well with the Dodges and the Chryslers and the rear entries of different conversions. Thanks a lot, and stay tuned.